time is right. And the ladies get wild on
Welcome to the downtown studios of Cranford, New Jersey. You are here at the Commissioner's Cove. Alongside me is my ace Boku 13th Legion, and I am the Commissioner. Ricky let me down, where we bring out fantasy information, fantasy insight, so you guys don't have to. So do me a favor, sit back, relax, drink your little cafecito, smoke your little cigar, drink your little bourbon or your whiskey while you're listening to two distinguished gentlemen talk about fantasy football, which we enjoy to do. All right, week number 11 is here, week number 10 in the books. All right. The theme of the fantasy football world has been injuries. We got new injury updates now that's going to affect your fantasy teams. So,
yeah, hot off the press.
Really hot off the press.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Appendicitis surgery, will not play.
That's great.
Not playing week 11, man. Not playing week 12. We'll see.
Yeah, I doubt it. But at least hopefully, if you're making the playoff push, you have him for your playoff games. But if you need him for your playoff run to try to make the playoffs, you better look other places. So let's begin. Week number 1, Thursday night football. It's the Jets at the New England Patriots. 38 degrees, a little cold out there. 8-mile-per-hour winds out of the northwest. And I'll talk about the JETS. All right, the Jets, just the MESS mess. Even though they did win 2 in a row. That being said, the ones to start, in my opinion, Breece Hall is a must start. No Garrett Wilson. He's going to be out for another extended period of time, another 2 or 3 weeks or so. I don't feel as though Mitchell is the wide receiver to start. I don't think you start any wide receivers in that offense at all. When you're only throwing the ball for 12 attempts or so, that's just terrible. They won on special teams, and they won on the legs of Breece Hall, and as well as Fields. So I'm going to even say I'm not even starting Fields. The only one, in my opinion, startable in this game is probably Breece Hall. That's me.
I tend to agree with you. And, it's funny because you talk about just the juxtaposition, you like that word, between Fields, 12 passes, and Darnold, 12 passes, and it's just you wouldn't expect that on the two players that have the same thing.
No.
But yes, I agree. Breece Hall is the only starter. I don't know. I don't even know how the Jets are going to generate any points offensively against the Patriots.
No, I don't either.
And on the Patriots side of the ball, Travion Henderson had his breakout game last week. However, we just heard news today that Rhamondre might regain when he comes back, and he was practicing in a limited fashion. He might get regained the number 1 running back position, so we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. Mm-hmm. But if so, I still think going forward you're going to get the same thing that you got leading up to here when Rhamondre was healthy. Rhamondre getting the majority of the snaps, especially inside the goal line, and he runs better in between the tackles because he's a more full-bodied running back, but we'll see how that plays out. Just keep in mind of that. As far as the wide receivers, last week it was Mac Hollins' turn. Booty was a week before. Demary Douglas the week before. Booty the week before. Stephon Diggs sprinkled in there. Mm-hmm. Hunter Henry we can't count on. I don't know who to suggest this week against the Jets. I just think that they might just run the ball down their throat, and now that the Jets don't have Quinnen Williams, their run defense is, although they did play pretty well last week, but we'll see what they do against the Patriots. I think they're a better all-around football team. Drake May is definitely a must start. So just to summarize, I think it's Drake May. I think it's Stephon Diggs, who'll give you a more consistent opportunity. And listen, if Rhamondre plays, limit your expectations on Travion.
Fair. I have nothing else to add on that because that's exactly what I would do. All right. It's almost like whack-a-mole with the New England Patriots wide receivers. All right, let's move on to the next game, which is in Madrid. Monday, it's Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Don't forget to set your lineups for Sunday morning. You're gonna have the Washington Commanders at the Miami Dolphins. My Dolphins in the Dome. So I'll talk about my Dolphins. My Miami Dolphins. Obviously, they beat the Bills. All right, Bills Mafia. I should be happy about that because a win is a win. It's tough to win in the National Football League. However, me knowing it's a rebuild year, I don't want a middle of the pack pick. I would like a top pick, and they're just going to dwindle this away because I think Miami's going to win this game. So let's talk about the fancy implications for my Miami Dolphins. Achane has been an absolute star. He has. He's been top 5 All right. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor is probably number one running back. I got to put Achan not to JT status, probably 2 notches below, or that being said, right behind him.
Well, Bijan's not going to get the touchdowns.
No, Bijan, I'm sorry.
You know what? I would kind of put him JT. I would go Gibbs, then Achan, and then Bijan.
It might be top 3.
Yeah.
So Achan is a must start. You plug and play him. Okay, Waddle is a plug and play as well. Tua, listen, you need a streaming quarterback. He may be viable. I did call it last week. If you remember during the podcast, the week number 10's podcast, I did say that Tua always plays the Bills hard because it's an inter.
Yes,
I said
you
it.
did.
I
Yes,
said he's
you
going to
did.
have a modest game, and guess what? He had a modest game. He did pretty well against the Bills. So what does that mean against the Washington Commanders? You and I talked about this off the air. I think Miami has turned the tide, and they went into a run-heavy team when it was a pass-heavy team. I think their offensive linemen can run block better than they can pass block. They finally realized it. It might be the key to their little bit of success that they're having nowadays, and I think they're going to continue that against the Washington Commanders because they can't stop anybody. So Achan, Waddle, Tua for streaming, I think he'll do okay. Okay, if you need a quarterback, because there's a lot of injuries as well out there. Okay, like if you lost Jackson Dart, you have nobody else, there's no one out there, Tua may be a startable quarterback for you. No other wide receivers in there. Washington, maybe get 2 or 3 catches. Just talk about if you need this week, who to start. Those are the only guys, in my opinion, to
Well, I
start.
agree with you definitely with Waddle. Washington has a really subpar defensive backs, and they've been thrown on so far this year. So I think Waddle's in for a big game. Who the number 2 is, if there is a number 2, it just might be Achan getting ball out of the backfield.
Always does.
And dump off passes. So and maybe Dulcich. They're gonna need someone else to kind of if they're gonna pass the ball, but we'll see about that. But I don't. Those, I think you're right. Those are the main guys. And the Washington side, I think Mariota's a must start. Just like Tua, they're going against a banged up and not so great defense.
Right.
So Mariota, I think, is a must start. Running back wise, I don't know what the situation injury wise with Chris Rodriguez is. He hurt his shoulder in last week's game. So does Bill come finally back to life? I don't know. Is it McNichols? You know what? I would temper expectations on both of them. If you had no choice, you have to start them. It's not a big bye week. There's only two teams on a bye. But if you don't have no running backs, I know injuries have mounted up and piled up. You might have to start Bill, just like me. So you will see what he does on the receiver side of the ball. I don't know. You still have McLaren out. You have McCaffrey out. Jalen Lane had more opportunities, but I think it was only a couple passes, targets. There really isn't much there on that side. It just might might be an ugly game to play overseas.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't have anything to add. Treylon Burks is out as well. They don't really throw to the wide receivers. Debo.
Yeah, Treylon Burks is out.
If you want to start somebody, you start Debo Samuels. That's about it. And plug and pray. That's a plug and pray type of guy.
Yeah, you're going to have to take a lot of hopium.
Yep.
Because
yeah, that's true. We come up with different nicknames, different slogans here on the show. That's all we have for the Washington Command. I mean, there's not
pretty.
It's not pretty at all.
Washington's been decimated by injuries too.
Yep.
So
let's move. And Daniels is going to be out. He's not playing just if you think he is. He's
no, and that's why I said to you off air. This is just as an aside. You're talking about Miami probably going to get a better pick, not a good pick, but Miami's has the next few games. They are totally winnable games in respect to the way the Dolphins have been playing. So. I know you might not like to hear it, but they're not going to go on a run. I don't think playoffs are in the picture, but it's going to be a run, and it might not be a top 10 pick this year for Miami.
Great. All right, next game, Mount Carolina's at the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta Dome. So let's talk about the Panthers. Rico Dodell. Atlanta has a pretty good run defense. Okay, they have a good pass rush as well. Young. Young for some reason, it seems as though he's not getting the ball to his number. He tries to get the ball to his number one. He can't, like you always like to say, he can't support two wide receivers at all. He just can't do it, and he's not peppering Tedero McMillan much. So to me, it's like they're going to their run game more with Rico Dodell, and Dodell's the must start there. If you need a streaming tight end, Sanders is out there. Okay, he's a plug and play. Tedero McMillan's a must start because I believe they're going to be down in this game, and I think he's going to try to get him the ball. Xavier Legette, I do not trust. I don't trust the other Tommy Tremble. I don't trust the other tight end. And Chuba Hubbard, plug and pray. Plug and pray. That's all I'm saying to you. So the ones, in my opinion, to start, Tedero McMillan, Rico Dodell, and then, you know what? Temper expectation with Bryce Young.
All right, fair enough. On the Atlanta side, I think you start in Penix. Bijan's starting to.
Yes.
If you're a Bijan owner, I'm sure you guys are.
What's your
be
panic
nervous.
meter? What's the panic meter? Is it 1 through 10? What do you give Bijan for your panic meter? For all the listeners out there, from the listeners that listen to the show, what's your panic meter for the Bijan owners
I'm
out
gonna
there?
go split in the middle, 5.
Wow, 5.
Yeah, 5.
All right.
And I know you could say easily that, what are you worried about? Tyler Algier, just vultured a couple of touchdowns, but that's happening more and more the last few games.
Yes, it is.
So, and since Penix has been throwing the ball downfield to Drake London, he's not throwing too many dump offs to Bijan anymore. And I think that's another thing that's being taken away from his game, fantasy point wise, that no Bijan owner wants to see. And until Penix figures out a way to support more than 1-2 guys, it can't just be Kyle Pitts and Bijan and forget about Drake London. It can't be Drake London and Pitts and you forget about Bijan. But it seems the last few weeks the way that Atlanta's been, offensively been throwing
agree.
the ball.
I agree.
I still say you throw out Drake London out there.
Oh, Drake London's a must start.
Must start. You still
Yes.
have to throw out Bijan out there
Pitts.
and just think that it's going to be better. Carolina doesn't have a bad run D, but they are playing in Atlanta, and I think Atlanta needs something to prove to put Bijan back on its tracks.
What I don't like about Atlanta is, like you said, they're splitting those carries with him and Tyler Algier, and seems as though he's getting the Seattle effect. For some reason, Tyler Algier is in there in the goal line situations, and you're leaving Bijan out. I really thought something was wrong with Bijan last week because I didn't even see him on the field. We're getting text message, group text talking about where's Bijan, and then we're looking no updates whatsoever. There he is on the sideline.
Well, it is a little weird to see. Both touchdowns for Tyler Algier came on the 1 yard line, so it's a little weird to see. All right, listen, maybe you want to vulture one, but they purposely put him in there.
Exactly.
So that's
It's almost like a Zach Charbonnet and a Walker scenario.
Yeah, it does. It looks like that, but let's hope that it doesn't degenerate into a full blown Kenny Walker, Charbonnet, and then George Alani syndrome over there.
Oh, don't get me started on that one. We'll get there. All right.
Temper expectations with Kyle Pitts. Those are the
Yes.
So it's
London, Pitts,
London,
Penix,
Pitts, and Bijan.
and you start Tyler Algier based on that goal line work. I would, if you have nothing else.
This is the week that you would say, yes, start him as a flex because you'll get the goal line work, and then he gets nothing.
That's a chance. Those are dice you have to roll, and you hope you don't crap out. All right. Next game on the docket is the Buccaneers at the Buffalo Bills. All right.
Buccaneers been struggling.
Buccaneers have been. It's going to be light rain, 55% chance of rain. It's going to be 42 degrees, 10-mile-per-hour winds. And Buffalo just came off a spanking to the Miami Dolphins. A spanking. So what does that mean? I think Buffalo's going to come out strong. They play strong at home. They really do. Josh Allen is the one. Obviously, he's a must start. Cooks, I think, gets back on it. He gets back on track. I think they feed Cook. They feature him a little bit more this week, in my opinion. Khalil Shakir is nursing a rib injury, so please,
Check your injury reports as the games get closer.
Right.
Yeah,
Check the injury reports. If he does it, play. Who's he throw to? I can't even sit here and say Dawson Knox because Kincaid's not going to be playing. Dawson Knox, for some reason, it's like he's a forgotten man out there. He was the first wide receiver. He was the first tight end drafted before Kincaid came into existence.
yeah,
and he's
that's
still
true.
young.
I know he is. You're
He's
right.
fairly young, but they don't use him. And Keon Coleman, you would think that Keon Coleman would prosper out of this. And I'm sorry. It's like he can't get off the line of scrimmage. So I'm going to say, don't even start Keon Coleman. I just don't start him. Dawson Knox, if you're going to start him, you better super temper expectation to get somebody else. Cook is you are starting, and who's the other wide receiver out there to help him out? Is maybe Elijah Moore is going to be a little sneaky one out there?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if you can't rely on Shakir this week, or if you're going to throw him out there as a decoy just to protect his ribs, then it's Dawson Knox and who does James, like you said, does James Cook get more
I think
passing?
he does.
It might actually come down to that. On the other side of the ball, Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
All right, listen. Their defense has been struggling a little bit. Offensively, they've been struggling a little bit without Bucky. I think you're starting to see the Rashad White. He had that burst in the first couple of games because he was fresh, but then you use him every down every week. I think it's gotten to him. He's slowing up. Sean Tucker actually looks a little faster and a little more rugged. They might go and put Sean Tucker in the position where he might be getting the first and second downs and just leave Rashad White out there.
But that was his role. That was his role,
which was the role he had, correct, with Bucky. So we'll see if they change it up. But on the Tampa Bay side, I think Baker Mayfield's going to be. The Buffalo defense isn't as good as it was in the beginning of the year, and maybe it never was that good. But they have some holes in there, and I think this is a get right game for Baker Mayfield and Igbuka. I think they're both must starts. I think even Cade Allen, is a must start as a tight end this week.
I agree.
And believe it or not, you as a wide receiver 3 or as a flex, I like Tez Johnson. He's had touchdowns in I think 2 of the last 3 games or three of the last 4.
Yep.
He's fast. I don't think there's anyone on Buffalo that can contain him once he gets the ball. I could see more screen passes coming his way as the weeks go forward.
No, that's
especially
fair.
without Godwin and Mike Evans.
And there's no time frame for Godwin to come back.
I don't think their run game is going to be productive this week. So I think that Baker Mayfield's going to rely on Igbuka, Cade Allen, and Tez.
Fair. All right, I agree with you. Let's go on to the next game. Texans at the Titans. It's in Tennessee, 31 degrees. 62 degrees, 31% chance of rain. 9 mile per hour winds. Tennessee side of the football against this tough defense.
Yeah.
I am not starting any wide receiver with the Tennessee Titans. If you are going to start a wide receiver, I think DK is the one to start. Alec Ayamore hasn't really prospered at all. It seems as though he can't get off the line of scrimmage or separate from the cornerbacks or the scheme. DK, for some reason, Ayamore was drafted higher than DK. However, DK has more speed in the NFL. It's weird because their game, Ayamore's game is more predicated to college, it seems, and DK is more predicated towards the NFL.
DK was drafted before Ayamore.
I thought
it was the other way around, and I was shocked to see that because I was like, DK, where did this guy come from?
Out of Florida.
You heard more of Ayamore than before, but he is faster. Listen, I kind of agree with everything you just said. It's just that they're coming off of a bye. They knew they were getting Houston in this game. So is this a week? The fact that they were off for 2 weeks and had an extra week to prepare, does this mean anything to Cam Ward or to Chimere DK or to Ayamore?
No.
You say no. I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive than we think it's going to be.
This is the week for Ward to cut. This is his breakout game. If it's going to be a game, it's going to be.
It's tough to say it's a breakout game, but I'm looking to see. You and I spoke about
progression.
This. I want to see something, right? Something to say, hey, I'm the number 1 pick. This is 10 games into the year. Have I progressed? Have I learned anything? Can I put together a sustained drive?
That's fair. Tyjae Spears, obviously, if you need a running back, he is a starting running back. He's the one to start. Pollard, you have a temporary expectation with Tony Pollard. The wide receiver is the one we just talked about. Their tight end, I can't even pronounce his last name. He is not Aquanqua. He's not startable. In my opinion.
No, I mean we spoke about how some quarterbacks can't support more than one guy. I mean, I don't know who Cam Ward so far this year has supported. So, I mean, one game it was DK, but that was only a couple of passes. So, you can't say that you can feel confident with a starting tight end on the Titans right now.
And on the Houston side of the football, listen.
Well, we don't know if Stroud is playing.
I don't think Stroud plays. I think they give Mills one more week. And Mills looked good last week. He ran the ball. He threw the ball efficiently. I think Mills is a startable quarterback this week, replacing Stroud. The wide receiver position, Nico Collins gets a lot of targets out there. He is a must start based on target volume alone, and he gets pretty good catches. And the tight end, Mills features the tight end in this offense.
Yeah, he always
Stroud does
Dalton Schultz,
is a start.
Nico, and I think if you're desperate, you throw Jaden Higgins, who's had 2 touchdowns in 2 games, and he's becoming more involved. And especially if Davis Mills is going to throw the ball as many times as he did, which I wouldn't expect it against Tennessee, but you never know because their run game isn't really doing anything.
Right.
But
And Woody Marks, is the one to start out there. Nick Chubb, I think he took over for Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's still going to get the ball. He's still a little pest. He's still a little gnat. However, Nick Chubb, Woody Marks.
But I think it was a 70 to something split between them. They're still using
Chubb. I understand that. But I still think,
and to talk about a name I can't say. Agunliawale.
Dare, you know what I'm
But they still use him too.
Yeah, but Woody Marks is the guy to start.
Yes,
there.
I agree. Yes.
All right, let's move on. The Bears versus the Vikings in Minnesota in the Dome. The Bears are coming off a hot streak. I mean, they're like come from behind, the comeback kids. Okay, it seems as though when they're down, they play their best ball, and when they play best ball, that means under stress and duress, the quarterback plays a little bit better. He rolls out the pocket. That's more his game right now. He's a young man. He's running out the pocket. When he gets older, it's going to be a different story. He better learn how to throw from the pocket. But as of now, we're going to talk about he is a must start. Okay, Caleb Williams. Minnesota has a really good defense. Okay, they scheme towards these players.
This isn't the giant defense.
Exactly.
He's going after this week.
However, Rome Odunze is a must start. Okay, the tight ends. Am I going to say must start? No, it's not a must start for Loveland or Cole Kmet. But if you are going to play them, it's plug and pray for either of them. The running back is a must start. Swift is the must start. Manungai is a plug and pray. Okay, we don't know if DJ Moore is going to play. He's nursing a little injury. We don't know. Zacchaeus is a super streamer unless you're really desperate. Luther Burton, are you going to start there? I say if DJ Moore does not play, Luther Burton starts, I think he's a must start.
Okay. Well, listen. Minnesota's defense is not the Giants. I think they know that they can bring pressure. Brian Flores' defense always brings pressure. Mm-hmm. And I think they also understand they need to contain Caleb because you don't want him scrambling to the outside. Mm-hmm. Like all young quarterbacks, though, the pressure in his face is going to be the problem. So he's going to look for short dump offs.
Right.
And it might not be Rome Odunze again this week. This might be a down week, but I see something positive for Loveland, and I see something positive for maybe whoever. If Zacchaeus doesn't play, or if Ben Johnson finally realizes Luther Burden is the guy, and he's got a lot of juice out there, I think Burden might be a sneaky play this week.
There's a lot of juice in that berry, let me tell you.
The other thing they're going to probably try to do, which takes a lot of pressure off the pressure, is screens and dump offs, which DeAndre Swift has done so far this year.
Yes.
Not so much Manungai, but DeAndre Swift, yes.
They haven't given him an opportunity.
They haven't. True.
Except when he had the lead role. He had 5 catches, I believe, that game. So he can do it.
Yes, but as long as Swift is in there, they're going to just like against the Giants. Yeah. You saw Swift getting the majority of those types of plays.
I know.
But I don't think Caleb's going to have, unless he breaks contain and gets a big one down the road, down the field to Rome. I don't think Rome's going to have a big game, but I do see something for either Luther, Swift, and Loveland.
All right. On the Minnesota side of the football, Chicago's defense is not Minnesota's defense. However, J.J. McCarthy's been struggling a little bit. It seems though he can't get the ball out to Justin Jefferson for the most part. Justin Jefferson can get open. It seems that he's trying to get him the football, but the accuracy is not there. It's almost like he's not setting his feet for the most part. We all saw how Justin Jefferson gave up on that play on an interception. That's unlike Justin Jefferson. He's usually going after those balls, fighting for those balls. He's done it with Kirk Cousins when he first came into the league. It seems like he's frustrated because he's not getting fed the ball enough, in my opinion. Jalen Naylor was getting the ball last week, and Addison had 11 targets in that game. I think they were down last week, though, correct? That's the reason why they were throwing so much. And let's be honest, their run game is like nowhere to be found. Mason has been a bust so far this year, and so is Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones on his
Well,
last.
Aaron Jones has been injured.
Yeah, I think he's on his last leg. And then Jordan Mason, for some reason, that scheme doesn't work for him in this offense this year. So are we starting Jordan Mason? Obviously, there aren't many running backs. He's a starter. You would have to start him. Aaron Jones had a touchdown last week, but he did have 5 receptions or 5 or 6 receptions.
Well,
out
that's
the
what I was going to
backfield.
say. J.J. McCarthy, you're right. His feet have not been set in a lot of the throws that he
No.
has. That's going to be frustrating for Jefferson, obviously. He's built some sort of connection with Jalen Naylor. And a lot of people on Dynasty community have been, or fantasy community have been saying, hey, deep stash is going to be Naylor because, that was McCarthy's guy. He has a connection with him. That would just seem to be the flow of the game. I don't know if I buy that. I think he's going to rely on Aaron Jones this week with a lot of dump offs. I think Aaron Jones is the starter to start instead of Jordan Mason. Jefferson, you always have to start. And I'm surprised
sitting
with a
Hockenson.
young quarterback that you just took the words out of my mouth. Why isn't he looking towards Hockenson more?
I don't think this offense gears towards a tight end. He threw to him 1 or 2 times. I think he dropped one. It's just not geared towards the tight ends.
I say try it out, McCarthy. Try out. Kind of lean on that guy and see if that doesn't open things up for you.
I just don't. When you have an alpha male out there or an alpha dog, a wide receiver that requires the
Yeah,
ball
well, we
the
all
time.
know that the Bears will be focusing on Jefferson because they don't want him to beat him. So then, who's the guy that's going to win out here? Is it going to be Hockenson? Is it going to be Naylor? Is it going to be Addison?
It ain't gonna be Hockenson.
We'll
Ain't
see.
gonna be Hockenson. And McCarthy,
I'm just saying this: until McCarthy becomes more settled in the pocket, you have to, temper your expectations on everyone in that offense.
fair. All right, let's move on to the next game on the docket here. You got the Green Bay Packers facing the New York Football Giants. I'm going to have to take off the New York Football Giants, soon on these guys. Seriously. Listen, it's going to be in New York at the Meadowlands, 44 degrees, 25% chance of rain, 10-mile-per-hour wind out of the northwest. All right, please check your weather reports. We saw what happened last week with 25-mile-per-hour winds in Chicago. Actually snowed. It snowed in Green Bay. So the weather was kind of, it impacted the football games for your fantasy teams. However, let's talk about the New York Giants. The New York Giants here, obviously losing Jackson Dart, it's a big loss. Jameson Winston's going to be starting this game. But, listen, a lot of people are like, oh, God, Winston's back in the game. But I tell you one thing, Winston airs it out. He airs it out. So you know what I'm gonna say it right now.
The only problem is there's no one to air it out to.
There is. Winston focuses on one person. In my opinion, my man Wan'Dale Robinson is gonna have a big game. In my opinion.
Listen, especially if the one thing Jameson Winston loves to do is throw the ball deep.
Yes.
That's Darius Slayton. However, Darius Slayton went out last week with a hammy pull, right? So I don't know if he's going to be 100%. So I am going to agree with you. Wan'Dale's
Yes.
the person to pick
I
up.
think he's a must
going to have a
start.
great game.
Yes, he
I think
is.
Theo Johnson retains some sort of usage as long as Russell Wilson's not the quarterback, which like you said, James Winston will be the starter. Running back wise.
You better plug and pray.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy, he did get 70 yards rushing, but
He looks slower than Rashad White.
he did. He looked a little spent. He looked a little, exhausted out there, and I don't know why, but
Looks like he's
Singletary was still getting the goal line
Yeah.
touches though, so that's flex-wise, I would kind of lean towards Singletary other than Tyrone Tracy.
I agree. And on the Packers side of the football here, listen, Jordan Love. Everyone is expected Jordan Love to take that big leap this year or last year.
This is a get good game for Jordan Love against the Giants?
I think Jordan Love in this game. Listen, the Giants' defense, I know they lost a lot of games based on their defense. They still have a good pass rush. So to slow a pass rush down is how you give it to your running backs. There's going to be a lot of dump-off passes to Josh Jacobs this week. I think Josh Jacobs is going to blow up this week. All right, the wide receiver-wise, Romeo Dobbs, I don't think so. Dontavian Wicks, I don't think so. Christian Watson, maybe a deep bomb.
Oh, you might get a couple of deep bombs for Christian Watson this week.
Okay, so Christian Watson, I'm saying temper expectation on him, but if you're going to start a wide receiver, it'd probably be him. And Musgrave, listen, you got a young tight end. This offense is geared towards giving it to the tight end, and they still don't throw it to the
Well,
tight end.
it's funny you talked about Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid because Dawson was the tight end originally for Buffalo.
Yeah.
But they drafted Musgrave above
Yes.
Tucker Kraft, and
A
you
year
can see
beforehand.
that and you can see that he's not the guy to this offense what this offense needs. They really missed Tucker Kraft. That showed last week against Philly, but I don't think you're going to have a problem with it this week. I think Christian Watson and a lot of Josh Jacobs,
Yep.
and then the second guy. We don't even know if Matt Golden's going to play.
Even if he's out there, he'll get 2 or 3 targets, 2 or 3
Yeah,
catches.
it's going to be spread around just like they always do.
They always do.
And
It's very hard to trust their wide receivers. So if you're in a pickle and you got to start one of their receivers, Christian Watson, if you have him, I say you start him. Temper expectation with Tavion Wicks, even though he got some burn last week.
I know he got 8 targets,
Yeah,
but
so we don't know what's going to happen.
If Golden plays, that's going to be different. And if they stress running the ball like you think they're going to do,
Yeah.
and I agree, then that's going to limit his targets also.
All right, next game on dock is Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's going to be in Pittsburgh, 54% chance of rain, 14-mile-per-hour winds, 46 degrees. Let's talk about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, oh, man, they look like an older team. What do I mean by that? It looks like they're losing steam. Aaron Rodgers, for some reason, can't connect with these wide receivers. We talked about it last week in Week 10, DK Metcalf, he has the speed, he has the size, and he cannot get open. Or is it Aaron Rodgers cannot make that read? He can't wait for it. Is it the offensive line?
Don't forget, the last time these two teams played, it was a high-scoring game.
Yeah, well, it's a different part of the season, different part of the it's Week 11, so. I mean, they're coming off a tough game.
Smoking Joe Flacco's still out there, though.
He is, but
and the Bengals defense didn't improve since the last time they played.
Yeah, but
This might be one of those get good games again for a quarterback.
it's almost like fool's gold with Pittsburgh. That's what it is.
Yes, but fantasy-wise this week, it might be good fool's gold.
Yeah.
So
Jalen Warren's a must start.
Jalen Warren is a must start.
All right.
I think Freiermuth, don't forget what he did have 2 touchdowns. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, 3 tight ends there was a 3 or 4 tight ends. They had 4 touchdowns between 3 tight ends last time these two teams played.
They have no linebackers. Yeah.
So DK Metcalf, definitely agree with you, but the tight ends, you know what? Hey, I say start off Freiermuth, and temper expectations with Jonnu and Darnell Washington, but
Yep.
don't count them out if you need someone out there.
Nah, that's fair.
But definitely Jalen Warren. And I think they also Tomlin did say that he wants to get Jalen Warren more touches this week.
Well, he needs to get Caleb Johnson more touches. give the young buck, the young thoroughbred, some love. All right. That being said, let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals. Smoking Joe Flacco, he's still here. However, Joe Burrow is going to be coming back. He's saying at Thanksgiving that division's open to anybody. Joe Burrow comes back, they can make a run and make the playoffs with that quarterback. All right. But we're talking about this week, week number 11. You're going to have Smoking Joe Flacco. I think he's a must start. Smoking Joe, he airs it out. Brown is a must start, the running back. Okay. Samaje Perine, I believe, still nursing an injury, so he doesn't really get much burn. Brown is the guy. I think do a couple of checkdowns when that pass rush comes from TJ Watt. They dump off to Chase Brown, and of course they need no explanation. Jamar Chase and T Higgins are must starts.
You're definitely trotting them out there
Yep.
as good wide receiver bets this week.
And that's all we have on that team. Next game on the docket, the Chargers at the Jaguars. 76, beautiful weather down in Miami, down in Florida. The Jaguars.
Not even any rain in the forecast.
No, nothing clear. It's like just a big sun. All right, so it's going to be a beautiful game. Beautiful game. Hopefully, this beautiful game. Oh, you got 2 beautiful. The locks are going to be flowing with the 2 quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of pictures out there. They're going to be posted.
2 Prince Charmings out there.
They're out there. But let's talk about the game of play on the field of battle, which is the gridiron. So what you have here is Trevor Lawrence lost Travis Hunter for the year. He is done for the year. He had surgery. He will not be back Jacoby Myers, you temper expectations on. Parker Washington, you start. They're getting Brendan Strange. You open up the practice window for Brendan Strange. You don't play him yet. You wait to see what he's going to do. And I think Parker Washington is the guy. Travis ATM, they featured him last week. I think he gets the ball more. And I got to be honest with you, Trevor Lawrence, it seems as though he's been, I'm going to say, super temper expectation with Trevor Lawrence. I'm not starting Trevor Lawrence this week. I might have to start someone like Penix over him. That's me. And Jacoby Myers, I don't know if he learned the playbook in 2 weeks, okay? I don't know yet.
He might have to be forced out there into something because
And BTJ.
unless Dynami Brown comes back into
No.
the mix, I don't know. BTJ probably won't play again. I haven't heard anything saying that he
Nothing.
was going to play.
No.
And if he is, he's going to be limited. Parker Washington is definitely the one guy on there that you could probably say I could start.
Correct.
And feel confident about. And Travis Etienne. Those
Yep.
two, I would say yes.
Go with your Chargers.
Chargers, I say you're starting Justin Herbert. You're starting
Lab McConkey.
Lab McConkey. We don't know what the situation is. It's going to be for Rondé Gatson because of the banged thigh. He has a thigh bruise.
That's right.
If he doesn't play, I think it's going to be a Vidal type of game. You can rely on him. And Quentin Johnson, I think, listen, Jacksonville's defense has deteriorated as the years gone on, and I don't know how much pressure they're going to put on Herbert. Pressure right now on Herbert is the key because they lost 2 offensive linemen during the course of the year. If he's not getting pressured, then QJ is going to have a few big passes down
Yes,
the
he
field.
is. I agree.
And if not, then you might see a little bit more of Keenan Allen.
Fair. Tight ends, you don't start over there because we watched the game. They don't even use a tight end with these the 3 wide receiver sets for some reason because they don't. Gatson and Will Disley was nursing injury. He's playing. He was inactive.
If Gatson is playing, I don't know how much you're going to take. You know that thigh is going to be is still going to be sore. I think. And listen, honestly, I don't know if you put Disley in there and you save Gatson for a week and make sure he rests up because you're going to need him further down the line. I don't know if that's what their thinking is, but that would be my thinking.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a lot of other weapons I can rely on.
All right, Seattle and the Rams. This might be the game of the week right here. The battle of the Titans. All right, they're both playing well, good
Battle
defenses,
for the division lead, I
and
think.
good offenses. Now we're gonna see if Darnold's for real. If he can match up, go toe to toe with Matthew Stafford. Let's talk about Seattle. Stafford is a must start. However, like you said in the beginning of the program, 12 attempts to throw the ball. It's like they don't need it because the defense was picked up the offense. So it's like, why throw the ball? Why waste them? I'm not sure if that defense is going to stop the Rams' offense. Okay. However, if you want to talk about the offensive side of the ball, is Sam Darnold against the Rams a must start?
Yes.
Okay.
Only because he's efficient. He's not going to, and this might be the game. You're right. Seattle's defense might not be able to stop the Rams' offense. And if that's the case, whereas Sam Darnold didn't have to throw the ball a lot in games past, this might be the game he's going to have to throw more than 25 times.
Yes. Okay, that's fair. The running backs. Listen, if you own any stock, and I'm going to say this, if you own any stock with the Seattle Seahawks running backs, you might want to start drinking.
I'm sure people already have.
Because that coaching staff gave it to Charbonnet. He gave him about 14, 15 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown, I believe. And then they shut out Kenny Walker. Then they gave the ball to who?
George Halani.
Like when you saw his name in the game, when they were in the red zone.
When I saw George Halani had a touchdown, I thought maybe
I
it was
just
a
couldn't-
special teams touchdown.
I couldn't believe it. Why would you give it to a third string running back and you will not give it to your starting
That was the ultimate
running
fake.
back?
That was the ultimate. They didn't expect. Arizona didn't expect it.
So, if you are starting any running backs from Seattle, you better plug and not even pray. It's plug and super pray.
Yeah, Rams defense is good. I don't place much stock in any of the running backs, especially if you're going to spread it around like that. How can any of them have any flow of the game? Don't know. We'll see.
Right.
But I would definitely temper expectations on three of them at this point. JSN, you can't count him out. You just got to start him.
Start him. And Rashid Shaheed. This is it.
This is
This is the game.
You
If
can't
you're
say
gonna
anything. He's familiar with the Kubiak's system, so he's going to play a full complement. That's
So we'll see how
snaps.
that goes. Let's talk about the Rams right here. All right, Matthew
Oh,
Stafford.
before you say anything, don't forget Cooper Kupp's going against his old team.
Nah,
He just out of nostalgia. They might be saying we're going to make sure we run a couple of plays for you.
no way. I'm
All
saying
right.
you said Cooper Kupp. You're saying yeah. I'm saying no. I'm not worried about Cooper Kupp. I'm not starting him. I'm not worried about him whatsoever. And if you want to start him, then go for it. Okay, but all I got to tell you guys is this. This is week 11. These are must-win games so you guys can get into your playoffs.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And these are must-lose games to the people that you're fighting with. So if your opponent, if you're looking across your games and you see that player or that owner starting Cooper Kupp that's facing the guy that you need him to win, you're gonna be upset. I don't care about the other. And he turns around and says to you,
What happens if he say for example he's got Marvin Harrison on his
Oh.
team and Terry McLaurin on his team and they're both out and then you got no choice but to start
Okay.
Cooper Kupp. What do you do then?
then you have to
You have
start
to
him.
start Cooper
yeah,
Kupp.
I understand.
And there are situations like that
Oh
in
yes,
real life.
yes, I do understand that very well. Thanks, I appreciate it. And do me a favor, get the knife out the back, all right? And the Rams, Matthew Stafford is I think the runner-up to the MVP of the fantasy football. I think it's JT and Matthew Stafford. JT, maybe JSN, and Matthew Stafford number 3. Those are the top 3 in my opinion for the MVPs so far in fantasy. Matthew Stafford's playing very well. He's a must start. Puka is a must start. Devontae's nursing an injury. Even if he's out there with this good defense, I'm not too sure what he's going to give you. Are you going to risk your 33-year-old wide receiver now for this one game, or are you going to wait?
Yes, it's for first place. It's for division.
Well, then-
it's for home field advantage in the playoffs. You starting Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams wants to be out there.
If he's out there, then he is a must start.
Yes.
The tight end position is a streaming tight end. Okay. What's his name again? Higbee. Right? Higbee. He's out there. You start him if you need a tight end. He's a streamer.
Well, listen, I can't really 100% say that because, Ferguson does get some run in there too.
He does. So, you have 2 or 3. But can you support 4 guys?
No, because I think on the running side of the ball, you're going to see a lot of Kyren Williams out there.
Listen, Seattle's defense is pretty good. And you know Kyren is not a burner. Okay, he's not a burner. So we'll see. Obviously, you got to start Kyren Williams, Blake Corum. If you need a flex, if you have no other running back, because based on your injury, you can start Blake Corum. All right, that's all I have for that game. Let's move on to the 49ers versus Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, we got breaking news today that Marvin Harrison has appendicitis and he's going to be out. I mean, it's just the hits keep coming. He is not going to play. No. So, what do you mean?
And they lost Zay Jones.
So, the guy, in my opinion, if you're going to look at somebody, Michael Wilson probably be starting.
It just gets better and better for Trey McBride.
And Trey McBride is a must start. And the running backs, DeMarcado, there's no update. I believe Bam Knight, he was injured. There's no update on him at all. I think DeMarcado is a start. Must start? No, but if you need a running back, is a start because the 49ers defense is, even though
ever since Fred Warner went out, they've broken down a little bit.
But they're still a decent defense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're not the same.
Yeah. No.
And that's where people like DeMarcado make a little bit of hay for themselves.
Right. That's all I have for the Arizona. You want to talk about the 49ers?
49ers, do we get to see Ricky Pearsall back? Do we see Brock Purdy back? Probably not for both of them. So Mac Jones is gonna get another start. I think Juwan Jennings is a must start. George Kittle's a must start. Christian McCaffrey obviously is a must start. And I think I leave it there with the must starts.
Yeah.
Unless you think there's
and
someone
Mac
else.
Jones. I think Mac Jones is a must start this game.
I thought I meant that when I said Mac Jones is a must start.
Yeah, I do too.
Juwan, CMC, and Kittle.
And if Pearsall does play, he is not a must start. He is a temper expectations.
No, I think if Pearsall plays, you got to temper expectations with Juwan Jennings. I think they're going to take some targets away from each other.
I agree. All right, next game is the Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. It's at Cleveland, 51% chance of rain, 44, 21 mile per hour winds in Cleveland as of today, Wednesday. Please check before the games begin. It affects the kickers. okay, and affects the throwing. However, they had 21-mile-per-hour winds last week, and they were still airing it out. So, if it's 30-mile-per-hour winds, it's a different story. 21, they can still throw the ball. The run game here, Cleveland, Dylan Gabriel, I think the new offensive coordinator wants him to run the ball. If he doesn't see the first or second read and it's open, he wants him to take off, okay? Slide when it's not open. Don't force it. That's he had 5 rushes for 50-something yards. So can you start Dylan Gabriel against the Ravens? They're not.
Yeah,
the Ravens
this
are
isn't
old.
your grandfather's Ravens
No,
defense,
no.
so
I think
they
you
can be
can.
had. And this again, you know how I feel about division games. They always play tough. And Cleveland, for as many faults as you might see them for the year, and not having a good fluid offense, I think this is going to be a competitive game. So Dylan Gabriel, I can understand where he's going to take off and run the ball a little bit
Yes.
more, and I think there's valid fantasy points to be had there.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Maybe over 20, 25 points right there for Dylan Gabriel this week. Fannin, I think, is a must
From your
start.
lips to God's ears.
Jude, I think this is a week where you might get a long pass to Tillman finally, but I don't trust him long,
No.
to carry you fantasy wise in this
Judy's
game.
a must start.
Judy, I think, is a must start.
Yeah.
The Njoku, Fannin, I don't know.
Both of them.
I think both of them, you're still going to get it. Can Quinshawn have a good game? Yes. I could see 70 yards and a touchdown on like 20 carries, but I don't think he's going to run crazy all over Baltimore's defense. I think that Dylan Gabriel is going to have some passing success.
Yeah, that's fair. And on the Baltimore side, obviously, Mr. Two-time MVP, Lamar Jackson is a must start. I think Andrews is a must start. King Henry, with this defense. However, your Breece Hall just ran all over him, so we don't know. King Henry is a must start. Okay. Rashad Bateman is not a must start.
I know he tweaked his ankle, but I don't think he's a must start.
And then Zay Flowers.
I don't think Bateman's been a must start all year.
Zay Flowers, been saying this since 2 years now, and everyone kept saying he's in a 1. I do not trust Zay Flowers. You do start him, temper expectations with him. That's all I have.
Don't forget Myles Garrett is playing.
That's all I have. That's
So-
all I have. All right, let's move on to the next game. Kansas City at the at Denver. Chance of rain, chance of showers, 12%. That means nothing. All right, the Denver side of the football. This is gonna be a tough game. This is gonna be a tough game. However, I have a prediction here. Bo Nix, for some reason, he looked terrible last week.
He's going to ball out this week.
I think he balls out this week, and I'm gonna tell you why. He plays well from behind. He cannot get you to 28-0. It's when it's 0. It's when 28-0 reversed is when he plays his best football. I think he's gonna have a good game. I think he's a must start this game. I do.
Damn, I'm going to put him in my lineup just because you said that.
Put him in the lineup. I think Sutton, for some reason, being phased out, for some reason, not being targeted as a number 1 receiver. Troy Franklin is the number 1 receiver. It seems that way. He's a must start. The tight end, Everett Ingram, I think he's being phased out as well. Sutton, you start, but temper expectations. J.K. Dobbins with that injury, I don't think he plays. So what does that mean? I think it's R.J. Harvey time.
No, I was going to say that means Tyler Bidet
know.
is going to be the surprise flex play of the week.
He may be the surprise flex player. Or do they finally activate Jaleel McLaughlin? We'll see if they do that.
Well, I think definitely he'll be activated if Dobbins goes on IR or if he's not playing. They're going to need a third running back.
But this is J.K. Dobbins. This is R.J. Harvey's time to shine. This is it. This is what all you owners have been waiting for. An opportunity. Well,
Yeah.
here is your opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's see what he can do against KC's defense. Let's see. All right, so that's what I have on
KC side of the ball, you starting Mahomes. Listen, it's a tough defense, but I don't know if Surtain's playing. And they had at times this year given up points. So KC, I'm sure, definitely isn't going to be afraid of that defense. I think Mahomes, Rashee Rice, Kelsey, temper expectations a little bit. The running game, I don't know what to tell you. You know,
I think
Pacheco's
Kareem
not
Hunt.
going to play. Kareem Hunt's definitely the guy, especially in the goal line. Does Brashard Smith finally get a little bit
No.
more action now? Probably not. I think what you're going to see is Xavier Worthy get a couple of more screen passes and stuff close to the
And
line.
jet sweeps, yeah.
And jet sweeps to take to bring on that aspect of the run
Yep,
game.
yep.
I think that's what you're going to see.
I do too. I agree with you on the KC side of the ball. All right. Next game we have on the docket here is Detroit at the Eagles. Is 33% chance of rain in Philadelphia. On the Detroit side, they are firing up on all cylinders again. But we've seen this in the last 2 years. This is the third year in a row. I think their offense is phenomenal. Jahmyr Gibbs. It seems to me that Jahmyr Gibbs has taken over this. It's not that 50-50 split anymore. When Dan Campbell took over the offensive play calling, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the focal point now. He gets the ball more. I think he is the bell cow. About time. It only took 3 years for this guy to finally realize that he needs the ball in his hands at all times.
Yeah, and I don't think this is going to be the game where you can afford to rest Jahmyr Gibbs because Philly can put up points too. Although they haven't, their offense looks a little broken. But this might be these types of games are the games that Jalen Hurts is going to be forced to pass the ball.
That's good.
This is the game where you fire up AJ Brown.
Wow, he just came on Instagram talking about if you have me on fantasy, what is it? Take me off of it or something.
Yeah.
He's not too happy what's going on over there. They're not forced.
Yeah, but I
forcing
don't
him
see
the
how
ball.
Philly has a chance to win against a high-scoring Detroit team if they don't throw the ball downfield more, and AJ has to be part of that.
Yeah, I agree. But going back to Detroit for a second, Amon-Ra is a must start. Yeah. And I was about to say, when Dan Campbell took over the offensive play calling, he made it a point to start focusing on J-Mo more. I think J-Mo is a must start.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because J-Mo's is going to become more prevalent and is a must start, I think you're going to have to temper expectations with Laporta.
That's correct.
Someone has to lose out.
That's correct. And David Montgomery, listen, you're going to put him in there, but are we going to say temper expectation with David Montgomery?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Philly's got a good defensive line, especially up the middle. That's where Montgomery usually makes his hay, is up the middle, and it's not going to be there this week.
That's right. And on Philly, you touched on Philly for a little bit.
I think you're starting up Barkley. I think Hurst is going to have to pass the ball a lot more. You're not going to see a 10-7 game like you did on Monday night against the Packers. And Detroit's defense isn't as good as the Packers.
I agree.
So this is a game where you're going to throw down the field more. Devontae Smith.
Yep.
A.J. Brown's going to have a comeback game, and Goddard.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the two wide receivers. I think Goddard, you're going to temper expectation. Detroit does have some decent linebackers. I think Goddard, what they did last week, they didn't utilize him more. I do agree with you with those guys. And I think Saquon has a decent game this game here. All right, the last game on the docket that we have on week 11, Stars and Sims, is the Cowboys versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I can't even say that. They haven't been the Raiders for a long time.
Move back to Oakland.
Please, because this isn't, like you said, your grandfather's Raiders. Let's talk about the Raiders here. Listen, the frustration is real. It is time to move on from Geno Smith. It is time, turn the page. There's no need to win games. I understand you're trying to play for your job. You want to do it for the Gipper. You want to do it for Geno. It's not working. Geno needs to be set. Okay. Tyler Lockett is 33 years old. What are you doing out there?
Well, I don't know what the Raiders are doing
Let the
as an
kids
organization.
play.
Yes, they have kids. So you're saying sit Geno and start Aiden O'Donnell?
Listen, if you have Geno and you have no one else, and you have if you're hurting at the quarterback and there's nothing on the waiver wire, you're gonna have to start Geno. Okay, the ones to start. Let's just put it out there. The ones who start with the Raiders are Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, and the wide receiver position. If you want a flex streamer, the one who gets the most balls, it's probably going to be maybe Lockett.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're dealing not in real life football, but we're dealing with fantasy football. And so Geno does become a streamer this week because Dallas's defense has been a sieve most of the year. Anyone who plays them has a good fantasy game.
Fair.
Yes, it's true. They went out and they did a couple of trades. They got Quinn Williams from the Jets, so maybe
we'll see how that works.
Ashton Genty maybe not have a hole up the middle to run. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of guy. But that's really not Genty's game anyway. He's an outside type of They got the linebacker from the Bengals, from Cincinnati, Logan Wilson.
Logan Wilson, yeah.
That's not going to deter Geno Smith from passing the ball. So, you know, this might be the game. Listen.
He can't pass the ball. That's the problem. He doesn't have the time.
But again, the whole point here is saying he's playing against Dallas.
Yeah.
It's not the same as playing
That's
against
fair.
a good defense.
All right, Dallas side of the ball. Obviously, the obvious Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Pickens are must starts, and
Yes.
Javonte Williams is a must start.
Yes.
It's just a game, and Ferguson is a must start. However, remember that's a lot of mouths to feed. We talked about the last week. Who takes the hit out of those skill position players? I think Pickens takes the hit.
Well, see, now you could say
I
that
think he does.
Ferguson was taking the hit, and it was Pickens reaping the benefits of that. Because
Mm-hmm.
listen, where was Ferguson been the last 3 weeks? So listen, game plan wise, I would still start Pickens over. Well, listen, they both play two different positions. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have Pickens and you have Ferguson, you're playing them both. You can't say no to that because you never know. One of them might take a hit in targets because you know CD's not. But they both might be successful enough for you to win your game.
Fair. That is all we have for week number 11. Hopefully, our information, our insight could give you your insight or maybe collaborate your story or your thinking process to start your starting players.
Yeah,
or
whatever
saving
rumors
players.
you heard from somewhere else.
Yeah, whatever you guys have. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, comment below if you like. The fantasy football year is coming to an end soon. You know, Thanksgiving is around the corner. Once that hits, we become depressed as owners, as fantasy football players. And it's
But look,
fair.
you got 4 games left in the regular season.
Yeah.
This is your playoff run, and I don't know what your consolation prizes are.
Yeah.
But if you have some leagues that are out there, they actually play for something worthwhile in the toilet bowl, maybe first round pick or whatever. So some people may not be out of it mentally.
That's correct. All right. Good luck on week number 11, unless you're playing the co-commissioner and myself, and you guys have it enjoyable week number 11, and we will see you for week number 12. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.